Okay, here's another quick video. This one just came up in the Inkscape group and a few of the other CNC groups. I believe what the guy is asking is how to create this monogram frame so that he can add his artwork here and his font to it. He's trying to figure out how to get the frame made. So it's really simple. I'll show you how I do that from scratch. The first thing you're going to do is grab your ellipse tool. Then I'm going to hold Control, left click, drag down and to the right, or you could drag down and to the left, whichever one. As long as you're holding Control and you drag down at an angle, it will keep your circle symmetrical. Now that I've drawn the circle, I want to make this an 18-inch frame, and I want it to be 1 inch thick. So I have my circle here. This is the fills on, the strokes off, so I want to reverse that. I'm going to come down here and select this red X in my color palette and turn the fill off, and then I will hold Shift and I'm going to select black, and that will turn my stroke color on. Now I'm going to want this to be a 1 inch thick border, and as you can see, if your stroke menu, fill and stroke menu isn't open over here on the right, if you go to Object, Fill and Stroke, that will open this menu up. As you can see, my stroke currently is set to the Inkscape default of 10 thousandths. So I'm going to want to change that to 1 inch. So I'll just select this, hit backspace, enter 1. Now I have a 1 inch thick stroke. And that, when you first open your fill and stroke menu, it'll usually be over here on the fill. You just come over here to this tab, stroke style, and that's where you can set your stroke width. So now I've set the stroke width. Now I need to size the circle to the size I want the frame to be. And like I say, I'm going to go with an 18-inch frame. So I'm going to lock the ratio here. I'll backspace this on the width and enter 18. And that'll automatically size the height and width to 18 inches. Now I have an 18-inch symmetrical circle frame there to work with. Now this is still just a circle. If you look down here, if I sent this to the cutter, this would just be a single stroke. Even though it looks 1 inch thick, that's just a single stroke. I'm going to want to convert this to a path with an inner and an outer contour that's 1 inch thick. The way you do that is come up here to Path, Stroke to Path, and now if I hit my node selection tool, you'll see here we have an outer contour with 4 nodes and an inner contour with 4 nodes. So that's ready to go. First part of the frame is done. Now I just need the rectangle to add to it so that you can put a name in it. So I'm going to come over here, select my rectangle tool. I'll click anywhere here on the screen and just drag over. That's left clicking and dragging over, create a rectangle. Now the last function I had the stroke on and the fill off, so that's the way this is going to continue to draw until I change it. I want to turn the stroke off, so I'll hold Shift, click this red X down here in the bottom left again, and turn the stroke off. Then release Shift and select whatever color, in this case black, and that will turn my fill color back on. So now I have my rectangle drawn out. I'm going to want to make it the same width as my circle frame. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to unlock the ratio, and I'll change this to 18 inches. Hit enter. Now my rectangle is 18 inches wide, just like the circle. And then for the height of this field on this size monogram, I would go anywhere from 3 to 4 inches high. In this case, I'll make it 4 inches high and hit enter. So now I have an 18 by 4 inch rectangle. It's not a path. Now I'm going to want to center this rectangle up with my circle frame. The way I'm going to do that is I'll hold Shift with the rectangle already selected, and I'll click on the circle, or you could just drag a box around both of them. And then I'm going to go to Object, my Align and Distribute menu. That will open up this menu. And now I'm going to want to align these two vertically by using this center on vertical axis. And you see that aligned them both perfectly in the center. Now I just need to put this rectangle where I want it. I could scroll it down. I would personally, if I were making it, put it about here so that there's a nice rounded bottom. It just kind of has a better look to it, I think. But In his example, he had the rectangle at the very bottom, so we'll do that. I'll select a rectangle again, hold shift, select the circle, and now I will use this option, align bottom edges, from the align and distribute menu, and that will put that rectangle perfectly on the bottom of the circle. Now you could just select both items and hit, at this point you could drag a box around them and go to path union and create your path. I would do one extra step here myself. I don't like sharp corners like this on the edge of a sign, so I will round those off. And the way I would do that is, while this is still a rectangle, it's not a path, if I go to my node selection tool, it'll bring up this little circle here. I can click this circle and drag this and round these edges as much or as little as I want. So I would put those where I want them. Then now at this point, you can convert that rectangle to a path by hitting path, object to path, or you can just drag a box around both objects there and hit path union, and that will convert that rectangle to a path and union it to the circle. So at this point, that's done. That's how simple that is. You're simply drawing a circle, setting your stroke width, converting that to a path by using stroke to path, making your rectangle, positioning it where you want it, sizing it how you want it, round the corners or don't, and then union that to the circle, and you have your monogram frame created there. That's ready to, now at this point, if I had this shape that he's wanting to add here, I would center that where I want it, making sure that I overlap the edges here a little bit so that it would union together, and I would add that artwork to it, and then I would take the font and I would add that font in the name field and difference that out, and then add any required bridges to make sure the centers don't drop out, which it looks like his particular font there, you might need a little adjustment here on the A, but it's already bridged. It looks like also, if just in case he's watching this, he needs to ungroup and union these letters together because they're not unioned as one path. They're overlapping separate paths, probably a group. But anyway, all that aside, the point was making the monogram frame. That's how simple that is to make. That's ready to add whatever artwork you want to it and whatever font you want down here. You'd simply union your artwork in, difference your font out, and you're ready to roll. I hope that answers his question, helps some people out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.